Good morning and welcome, listeners, to another episode of the Closers Inner Circle podcast, hosted by your partner in Success Radio. I am your host, Denise Griffitts, and together with my co-host, Ben Gay III, we're diving into the world of sales mastery with the gem from the Closers Part 2. You've heard me say this before. I'll keep on saying it. These books, the Closers Part 1 and Part 2, are widely known across the globe as the sales Bibles. So join us today as we open up the Closers Part 2 to page 253, where we discuss the pitfalls of the cheapest price model in sales. We've all been guilty of this. I promise you we have. So in the ever competitive world of sales, many professionals find themselves trapped in the mindset that the only way to succeed is by offering the lowest prices. However, this approach is not only unsustainable, but it also fails to recognize the true value that customers seek. Instead of engaging in a race to the bottom, successful salespeople understand the importance of selling quality service, commitment to the customer, and building value into every single sale. And while it may seem tempting to undercut competitors by offering those lower prices or the lowest prices, this strategy often leads to a true downward spiral. Customers who solely prioritize cost over quality and service are likely to switch to the next lowest bidder. You can see them going out the door. Watch it, it happens. And that creates a cycle of diminishing profits and eroding customer loyalty. There's that word again, customer loyalty. So additionally, this approach forces businesses to cut corners, compromising the quality of their products or service, and it ultimately leads to dissatisfied customers and a tarnished reputation, and again, closing those doors. Successful salespeople understand the importance of selling quality service, commitment to the customer, and building value into every single sale. Ben, good morning. It's Wednesday.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the 29th. I was waiting for you to continue on. Yes, it's Wednesday.
I'm not even sure what month it is. You're asking too much of me. So it's been a long summer. And I know it's just not quite summer, but oh my gosh, it's been a long summer. So what are we up to this week?
Well, in the book, we're up to page, I think it's 253, and it's only one can sell price, which is, oh, before I do that, I just got a cute thing. So get your books out and go to page 253 if you're going to follow along. But I just got a great email from a friend of mine, John Bash, who I've known for many, many years. He knew that one of my favorite sayings is be kind to the crocodile and he will eat you last, which is true of so many human interactions and applicable in some aspects of sales too. But anyway, he said, here's a cousin of your uh, be kind to the crocodile. It is don't insult the alligator until you've crossed the river. Isn't that great?
It Listen, it is, and I live among alligators. And when we get flooding, I do. It is not at all unusual. We're just a few days away from hurricane season in Southwest here, Southwest Louisiana. And when it starts flooding, we start getting these big storms. It is not at all unusual for, you'll see a meme on Facebook says, remember, you tap the top of your car to make sure there's no cat in there. Check under the hood. You may have an alligator in there. It's not at
Yeah.
all unusual to find
Or
an
a
alligator.
python or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we see pictures of them. They're sitting on somebody's driveway saying, just can you get me back to the water? Just don't eat me. Just kidding, because they will get eaten.
I'm not here to cause any. I saw one the other day taped up by a couple of sheriff's deputies, and he was in somebody's driveway. He wasn't big, but he was big enough to do a lot of damage if you didn't know how to approach him. So yeah, I've been there, and having been raised in Atlanta and vacationed in Florida, I've seen more than my share of alligators. We don't intend to move to Florida or move anywhere, but on the occasion when it pops up on the news that somebody has found a 40-foot long python or a
Oh,
12-foot alligator, that had a fisherman in his mouth or something. Gigi always says, "We're not moving to Florida." I said, "For many reasons, but those are two of them for sure." She's not big on reptiles and slimy things or bugs or anything. I said, "Well, Florida's off the list then."
She didn't want to visit here either. I mean, we've got
Yeah.
mosquitoes that honestly, you could strap a tank on them and send them out to bomb somebody. They're big. They really are. So,
But anyway, thanks to John Bash for that. And
yeah.
then I thought of something this morning, and I'm not sure where to fit it in our conversations, but it's pricing. So let's jump ahead to that. If you're only stuck on pricing, uh, which many people are and many companies have been, let me give you three quick examples. You're not old enough to remember, but stores like Woolworth and so on used to be known as five and dime stores. And it took them years to kill that name. People would still say, "I'm going to go down to five and dime." It took them years to kill the name and just go to their last name, Woolworth or FW Woolworth or whatever, because there were few, if anythings, in the store that were still five and dime, 5 cents or 10 cents. And, but they got known for that. And when prices started to go up, it became a serious problem for them. So you don't want to get known. You can be known for fair pricing. You can be known for low pricing, but don't put it in your name or make it part of your logo or your slogan or what have you. Because when things change, you drive off about half your market. Another one would be Motel 6. Most people who are listening to this aren't old enough to remember why it's called Motel 6. It was named that because a night at Motel 6 was guaranteed not to be any more than $6.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, see, there you go. They've sort of lived through the mistake like you. Most people don't know why it's called Motel 6, but it was because that's what they charged and they undercut Holiday Inn and so on. Well, they undercut Holiday Inn briefly, and then Holiday Inn would put up some rooms in each hotel that were $6 or less, and they only had a room or two, and they didn't volunteer the information. But if you wanted to price shop and you ask them, well, I can go down here and get a room at Motel 6. Well, you can do the same here. And Holiday Inn and a lot of the places that chose to match them and or beat them on price had other things going. Many hotels would let you stay for free if you guarantee you're going to use their restaurant, their bar, their gift shop. Motel 6 didn't have that option. They rented rooms for $6, and that was all they were going to get out of you, times the number of nights you were there. So five and dime was a big mistake, as it turned out. Motel 6 was a big mistake, and we're living through one right now. We have a dollar store here in town.
Dollar Tree, same thing here. Once they went to a buck and a quarter, I quit going.
It was, see, now
I
you
did.
just
I
walked
mean,
right
they just
into my
basically,
example.
yeah. I mean, it's the same thing I can order from Walmart and have it delivered. So why would I drive over there?
Exactly. The joke used to be the two words you never hear in a dollar store: price check. but but Gigi gets some supplies for her jewelry business from the local dollar store. It's little gift boxes or something, and some bubble wrap that she wraps things in, and so on. So we go to that dollar store, but no longer can you assume it's a dollar. I saw an item in there the other day that was $12, and they were apologizing when they went to $1.25. So now they're sort of in a trap. People, there's a large percentage of their customers, and there's several big dollar store chains who are like you. I'm done. No, thank you. There's easier ways to do this. And
Well, yeah, like I told you earlier, I don't math, but I can count items. And if I've got 20 items on there, I know it's going to cost me 20 bucks plus some tax.
mhm.
A buck and a quarter, I'm lost. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, four. Okay, that's not $4. That's fine. Okay, I don't want to do this anymore. But basically, the prices are now no different than they are at your local Walmart. Who
Yeah,
delivers?
yeah. Not now. They were when it was a dollar.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. But if
yeah,
they're at a buck and a quarter and it's $1.27 at Walmart, bring it on. You know where the
yeah. And
stuff.
there's more stuff you can get at Walmart.
Yeah,
Where
exactly.
at our local dollar store, we only go there for two or three items. Occasionally, I'll see something, go, out of curiosity, throw it in the basket. But basically, we go there for two items, and those two items aren't a dollar anymore. So I suspect that our trips there will be cut way back. But anyway, the overall arching thing there was not only don't sell on price to start with, which we'll get into in detail, but don't get trapped and branded as price because times change. They keep saying the inflation rate is 4% now or something. Tell that to a lady who just came back from the grocery store or to whoever gassed up the family car most recently. The the prices, the way they count inflation, that may be true, but they don't count cost of living and grocery and gas and energy and so on. The real cost of things has gone up 20, depending on what you're looking at, 25 to 30% in the last couple of years. So, again, if you're hooked into five and dime or dollar stores or Motel 6 or whatever, you're in deep trouble till you change that image around a bit. And as a salesperson, which is sort of what we were talking about in that chapter at page 253, don't sell on price, or only one can sell on price. I say here's one I heard one night in Seattle, a sales trainer, one of the good ones, and it goes on to tell a story. Well, I don't know why I didn't name him. Maybe I couldn't reach him and get his permission, but it was Bill Dempsey, one of my early mentors, sales trainers. He's the guy that recruited Zig Ziglar, me, and Jimmy Rucker into Holiday Magic Cosmetics, and he was a masterful salesperson. He's the one I saw do that. The story that's told is one night, I say one night in Seattle. It probably was in Seattle, or I wouldn't have written that years ago, but that wasn't the issue. The issue was Bill Dempsey. And one of his tricks was he used to let people beat him down. Whatever the objection was, he just let them get it out, whether it was 500 people or one prospect. Go ahead and get it out, and he would drain you. I mean, you couldn't think of any additional bad things to say about his pricing or whatever. And then he would slowly make the comeback. And in this chapter, or that section of the chapter, we talk about him folding up his jacket when he fed into it. Somebody said they were having problems selling the widget or whatever they were doing, and he said, "Oh my God, it is priced too much, huh?" And then somebody else feeding into that, "Oh yeah, it's priced way too much. Whoa, it's even worse than that," and so on. And he let them drain it and drain it and drain it, and then he picked up his coat and his briefcase and head down like a beaten man headed for the door at the back of the meeting room. And then the story goes on, but the gist of it was he stopped and said, "I really want to apologize. I'm not the cheapest sales trainer. I'm surprised you hired me. And if I am the cheapest sales trainer, I can't provide for you the 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 literature, the backup material, et cetera. I couldn't afford to give it to you. And then I wouldn't be able to fly here because other people discount. They pay their own way to go speak somewhere, hoping they'll sell some stuff. So I can't do it. I guess I'm done." And then he turned slowly, continued talking, and started back to the front of the room. I was in the room the first time he used it. He used it many times thereafter, but uh, I didn't even notice him moving. to the front of the room. At first, I thought he was just shuffling around, but he came back up and went into a moderate tirade about how stupid that was. Because if it were true, then we would only have one brand of car, or Yugo or whatever the cheapest
Ew.
thing is.
You couldn't have
And
picked a Ford?
or yeah,
Ew.
whatever was cheap. And you could only stay at Motel 6 if that were still
Right.
true. And therefore you wouldn't have a restaurant in your hotel with you, so you'd have to go somewhere else. But that's all right. You'd probably go looking for White Castle or Crystal Burgers. When I was growing up, they were 11 cents per burger. Of course, you needed six of them to even put a dent in your appetite, but nevertheless, they were 11 cents a burger. Well, how do you compete with that if people are going to eat just on the lowest price? In fact, they wouldn't even go into a restaurant. They'd go to the local convenience store and get a bag of beef jerky. So if price is the problem or the answer, then we are all screwed, because that's not the way the world works. It's not economically, it's not the way the world works in reality. There are always people who want the best, and they will have to pay more for the best. Rolls Royces take quite some time to build, and some of the cars coming down an assembly line, from laying down the chassis on the assembly line to shutting the doors and driving it off, is about a 2 hour process, because of they're not spending a lot of time getting it absolutely, absolutely right, and the assembly line and so on. So when people say, how come a Rolls Royce is whatever they are now? I've given one away in a long time and wouldn't be caught in one uh, driving it, because it looks like you're a fool. I can be
But a
foolish.
wealthy fool.
Yeah, I can be. Yeah, I can be
As long as your
foolish.
jeans are clean. Be careful how you dress.
I can be foolish without having a $350,000 car. But whatever they are now, it's because it's the very best of everything in it, and they took the time to put it together right. And there are people who, for ego, because they're frustrated engineers or something, will pay a price for that. So Rolls Royce is not battling you on price. If you say to them, I'll make up the number again, 350,000, I think that's the basic starter kit now. Uh, uh, it's $350,000. What's the best you can do? I'm sorry, the acoustics must be bad in here. 350,000. Volkswagen, my first brand new car was a 1962 Volkswagen. It was $1,848. I'll never forget that, because that was up about $1,800 from the price of the previous car. I had bought an old beat up 25-year-old Chevrolet for $50. But I remember looking at the window and saying, at the sticker, now how much is this again? Best deal. And he ran his finger down the sticker through the glass, of course, ran his fan down the sticker till he came to $1,848. There it is, right there.
Showed you.
Yeah, this price has been. I created the term, but I call it pre-haggled.
Yeah, I've used that now, by the way.
Yeah, I pre-haggle my pricing. We don't negotiate after the presentation starts. The only thing that I negotiate on is quantity. If you buy 50 of something or commit to 10 seminars, and here's how I do that, Denise. I look in the back of the closer's book to see what the percentages are at different levels. And at 10, I think it's 10, but let me check at the back of the book. Yeah, if you get 10 books, there's a 10% discount. So I don't have to remember the discount for seminars. I turn to the back of the book and I use that scale. If you commit to 10 or more seminars and put a deposit, at least pay for the ones that are coming right up now, and a deposit on the others, there's a 10% discount. Uh, but there we're not talking about 24.95 minus 10%. We're talking about 15,000 minus 10%. but that's based on quantity. You want one at a time, it's this. You want to go to a store and buy one egg, it's more than a dozen eggs, and cumulatively per egg, it's more. And then a dozen is one price, and 18 in a package, you can get more. And I've seen those big, they must go to restaurants or something, 48 egg packs and so on. Well, they'd be rotten before we got through 48. So we stick to the 12. But that's discounted pricing based on quantity. That's fine up front, not after the negotiations have begun. I've talked to you about I have vice presidents in charge of things. I have vice president in charge of our lawn. Uh, he runs it. He does it whenever he wants. He, I guess, lives nearby because he'll say, I drove by and it needs it. I'll be there tomorrow. And, but he doesn't need my permission to come. And we agreed on a price that I've bumped up over the years, but we agreed on a price. So when I know he's coming, I just put his check in an envelope on the inside of the grass bin, the twig bin, and it's there for him. But he runs it. I don't want to be asked, do you want this trimmed or that trimmed? You're the expert, you trim it. And I lost. I've talked to you about him in the past. I lost a vice president in charge of cars a few years ago. We had a GMC Denali extra large, whatever the top of the line car, and gas got up to, this is several years ago, $6 a gallon. And
Oh,
I went in California, and I went in. I guess we'd let it run down too far, but it was virtually a full fill up, and it was $240 to fill the gas tank.
and
I
you
grew
were
up in an
hauling
era.
pigs in the back of it.
Yeah,
I mean, you
I
must
grew
have
up in
felt
an
like
era.
you were going to be hauling goods or services back of
Yeah,
that thing for that kind of money.
I grew up in an era when gas was 32 cents a gallon,
Gotcha.
uh, times 10. Let's say in my Volkswagen it was times 10 or something like that. That's $32, $3.20. And all of a sudden I'm looking at $240 on the gas pump. Uh, I guess I figured this is going to last a while. And we were through with the reason we bought the big thing to start with. We found a better way rather than hauling product to seminars. So I called my car guy and I said, I want to get a new something. I'll follow your recommendation on that. And I want you to buy back the uh, the Denali. He said, okay, let me put some numbers together. He came back to me on the phone and he said, I've got it all put together. And he gave me a price. I don't want to quote it because I really don't remember what it was, but I had an idea. In this computer age, we sort of know what things are going for. And he said, I'll give you X dollars. And I said, well, Dave, that's nice, but I was thinking maybe, and my figure was $2,000 more than his. And he said, oh, okay, well, I'll give you that.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, end of vice president of cars.
Yeah.
Haven't talked to him since. If I'm your valued customer and you know that you've sold me over 300 cars, why would you screw me out of $2,000 on a single car
And
buyback?
why didn't he know better as the
I
road
don't
husband?
know. I always thought he would have known better. I guess I
Yeah.
overestimate his intelligence. But and I don't think has any idea why that happened. Oh, by the way, he bumped it up 2,000. I said, come get it. And they were here with a tow truck shortly thereafter. But I never called him back. I wonder if he went into retirement thinking, God, I used to order 10 or 20 cars a month. What happened? What happened was he cheated me. And
He
he
certainly
knew
didn't
my
he
huh?
didn't understand that to keep you as a highly, I would think, loved and adored client, customer,
Mm-hmm.
he compromised the quality of his service. He
Absolutely. And
absolutely,
trust.
There you go. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, he really led to you being dissatisfied and upset.
The the old phrase, thanks to me, people buy from people they know, like, trust, and with whom they feel safe. He
Hmm.
went from all four to, see, I still knew him. I didn't trust him. I sort of liked him, but a whole lot less. And with whom I feel safe? No. So he was out of two and a half of the qualities people look for. And the fact you've done business for 20 years, when you cheat somebody, doesn't make any difference. The 20 years went away.
And he did it right in your face. He didn't even have to stop and say, Ben, I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
He just
Or
went, yeah,
I
okay.
probably would have taken that.
Right.
You
I
know,
would
he's given it
too.
some
Give me
thought.
a good
Maybe,
reason.
yeah, maybe I'm wrong and that's not what the market is right now, or they've got too many of these on their lot or whatever. There's lots of ways he could have gotten around it. Let me go redo my figures might have been another one. And then you come back with something very, it wouldn't be 2000 more, but it would be some figure more close to 2000 above it or below it. But mainly, he forgot that I'm a pre-haggle guy. I never questioned him when buying 200 cars. They were all bought by 300 cars. They were all bought by phone. I just ran a contest, gave away 5 Cadillac sedan DeVilles. How quick can you have them? And I'll get you the addresses of where to ship them or have them delivered to from your affiliate dealerships. Never haggled him on anything. I knew pretty much what we should be paying, and he was grateful. And then one day, he decides to cheat me out of $2,000.
But see now, and I'm willing to bet you're wondering the same thing. Now my mind is going, where else did he fudge it a bit?
Say that again.
I instantly went, okay, if he did this one time, where else did he fudge things? Where else did
Absolutely.
was he not being completely honest? And where was he maybe padding a bit that he didn't need to pad?
All along, perhaps.
Oh no, I hope not. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. But I repeat, he's no longer the
Yeah,
vice president of automobiles. And I think he's retired. He may be dead, but uh, the uh, the relationship that he had sort of just dropped in on. He didn't do anything astounding to get the business. I went to the dealership where he worked, said I've moved up here from Marin County. My source automobiles uh, is retire has sold the dealership and is retiring, and I want to deal locally. So, and he and I got hooked up, and there was 300 luxury automobiles that he got pretty much because he was the sales manager's favorite, or it was his up. Can you imagine you're
right.
up
Yeah,
buying
my turn, my
300
turn.
cars?
Right. Oh my goodness.
That would
That
make
that is too bad. But once you lose that faith, that trust,
gone.
yeah, but then you go backwards and go, it's not just that one thing. It's like what really happened in all of these transactions. It's a bad feeling. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for you.
Yeah, but it is. I believe that when people say it's not the money, it's the money.
Oh yeah, it's
But in
always
this
the
case,
money.
it really wasn't. It was being cheated by a person I thought I could trust, know,
Yeah.
like, trust, and with whom I felt safe. Those went away, as did his business, and all over $2,000. Divide 2,000 by 300. I don't know what that is. Believe it or not, even though I impressed you a moment ago with
Yeah,
a
I
with
don't math. Whatever you tell me, I'll believe.
a you're not going to check me.
Nope. I'd have to go online to my online calculator.
Yeah. So anyway, on don't sell on price was that point. Now, let me give you another point of how to get around it. You know this when I say, let me give you, I'm talking to you and all of our listeners now and in the future. But the key to overcoming pricing, if you're selling something that's overpriced, stop it, go somewhere else. If you're in control of the pricing, change how you figure it, whatever. I told you the story of this Yugo salesman who came to a automobile sales training thing with mixed dealerships and mixed brands, and they said, we're having trouble selling. And I've also told you, as I looked at the crowd, I could tell who was doing well and who wasn't. And the Yugo salespeople all were in a clump up front to my left, and they all looked like they'd all gotten their suits and shirts at Goodwill.
Mm.
I mean, they were just noticeably, it was like being in a real estate deal with the Century 21 gold coats. It was that identifiable, although none of them matched except for shabbiness. And they were saying, how do we sell the Yugo? We're having trouble. I said, of course you are. It's a piece of crap. Everybody knows it. So
I
here's how
don't
you,
think I've ever seen one.
except in a dealership, unsold on the floor or out in the lot. I don't think I've ever seen one driving around, or if I did, I didn't recognize it. It would be the one in the parking lot with the door handle missing,
Oh,
which came off when somebody tried to open the door. I mean, they were just horrible. I'm told they've sort of made a rebound and maybe are making a better car now. But why would you put yourself in a position, you're selling the cheapest car? I got that, but the cheapest car is selling for 2 or 3 times what it's really worth. Therefore, the cheapest car per dollar spent is actually the most expensive car. So go somewhere where they're selling quality products that are competitively priced and spend your day talking to people who are qualified to buy that item. It's really pretty simple. So some pricing objections are legitimate. Yugo in those days, that was a legitimate price objection, and there really wasn't any way around it. You came in here to get a new car for $1,500 or whatever it was at the time. You've come to the right place. If you want a good car, you've come to the wrong place. We don't have one for $1,500 or 2,000 or whatever they were. So position yourself properly. Get an item that is good quality, competitively priced, etc., and then go from there. Now we're there, and you're at the right dealership, or you're selling the right widget or whatever. We're now there. You're still going to have pricing objections. Here are the couple of places pricing objections come from. In the salesperson's head is one. If you think it's priced too high, it is for you. And it's like a disease that you carry around with you. You spread it to other people, including, unfortunately, your customer. They may not be able to put their finger on it, but they can sense your hesitancy when you ask for so much money for it. Uh, when I worked at Macy's in the housewares department, housewares, lawn, garden, etc., I was the number one salesman. But probably 80% of my sales came from 5 different products. I was revved about the Foley quad cut. It was a lawnmower, 4 blades, 42-inch swath. I'd been in the lawn mowing business when I was 14 with some of my friends. I knew a little bit about lawnmowers. I loved the Foley quad cut. We had 500 of them. All the other salespeople on the floor might have sold 4 or 5 of them. I sold the rest of them. And Foley was going out of business at the time, so I only had 500 to sell, sold 99.9% of them because of my enthusiasm. I don't remember now what the price was. It didn't make any difference. I must have thought it was fair, and it was something that as a user, which is an important part of pricing, look at whatever you're selling as if you were a customer. Fourth wall perspective we talked about a week or so ago. Look at it from their side and see if they think it's a good idea. We had cookware, we had everything, farberware, you name it. But there was a company called Regalware out of Kewaskum, Wisconsin, and we sold a 1, 2, 3 saucepan with matching lids, a 5-quart Dutch oven, and a fry pan, and they shared a lid. And that was all for $39.99. I just thought that was marvelous. I sold they would call me from the loading dock and say, Ben, we got some more Regalware coming in. I said, great. And I'd start selling it before it was brought up to the floor. I loved it. I thought the price was right. If I'd been forced to sell it for $99.99 today, probably $300 or $400, my enthusiasm would have dimmed. My sales would have gone down. But I was enthusiastic about the price, and I radiated that enthusiasm. If you want to buy a can opener, fine, I'll help you find one. But I wasn't stoked about can openers. And but the 4, 5, 6 items I zeroed in on, I sold them like a wild man because I believed in the price. So if you don't believe in the price, change it, get where you do believe in the price, and so on. And then the other thing is, there's one thing, the widget, whatever the widget you have in mind, the one thing the widget has that no other widget maker in the world has is you. You know, with me, I've had people say, well, I like this and I want to get it, but it seems a little high price for me. I said, well, I don't control the pricing, or it's been pre-hag, whatever the price, whatever the situation is. But let me tell you you should put a little more value in your mind with this product. Well, what's that? And I hand him my business card. With this product, you get me. And now in the era of cell phones and so on, my cell phone is on my business card, but I still flip it over and write my cell phone on the back. This is my personal cell phone. It matches the one on the front, but anything goes wrong, you call me. You don't have to call AAA. You don't have to call the manufacturer. Windows by Anderson is on television, on the news all the time. And they say, with most window people, if something goes wrong and you call the person, so he says, well, you have to talk to the installer about that. And you call the installer, well, you got to talk to manufacturer about that. Window by Anderson does it all. They manufacture it, they sell it to you, they install it. And so it's a perfect setup for my type of selling. And here's the good news, Mr. Zwicky. If anything goes wrong with this window, here's my business card. There's the cell phone. I'll handle it all. You'll never have to talk to another installer except when they bring out the replacement if you need one. You'll never have to talk to the manufacturer. I will handle it all for you. And that ups the value of whatever I'm selling because their worries are over in the medical field uh, what do you call it? Not Bidenomics. Obamacare was coming in. Everybody was afraid they were going to lose their insurance and so on. I was training with some people who were in that business selling insurance that covered the difference or replaced it or whatever. And our opening line was, Mr. Zwicky, I am sure you're worried about your health care, your health insurance. Yes, I am. Well, the cavalry has arrived. I have good news for you. When this call is over, you will be insured at the best possible price with the best possible company. Is that fair enough? Yes. And you could feel them relax on the end. The Lone Ranger has ridden into town on silver. He is going to save you. Same thing with cars, cookware, lawnmowers, vacuum cleaners, anything else you're selling. Sell yourself first and foremost. Back to people buy from people they know, like, trust, and with whom they feel safe. That's the reason I spend the beginning of the call, whether it's in person, over a computer, over the phone, I spend the beginning of the call selling the most important product, Bengay the third. Because if you get it from me, it's worth more. If you get it from me, you probably won't have to pay more, but if so, you get me. one phone call, problem solved. It's over.
And a
And
question just arrived in my mailbox.
uh,
Um, and it's basically what you're talking about, where, and I think it's pertaining to what you just said a few minutes ago about no matter what it is that you're selling, let's go back to the windows because I'm going to need windows. It's hurricane season and my windows are shot. So,
Anderson,
yep, that's why I wanted to go with you. But, you were saying that you give them your card, they only have to call you. The question that just popped in is, how can he do this? Does he vet everything that he sells so profoundly that he's comfortable knowing that there's just going to be the occasional outlier that he has to really jump in and help?
yes,
Okay, good. That's
yeah,
what I thought.
that's yes, I do. I wouldn't be selling it if it wasn't a quality thing.
We've talked
And
about that. Yeah.
from time to time, I've made mistakes. I'll give you a great example. I haven't thought of it in years. It almost makes me sick to my stomach. But I was the first video game person. I
I
didn't manufacture
remember.
them.
Keep
And
talking. This is a great story.
yeah, I didn't manufacture them or know Nolan Bushnell personally when I first started. But a friend of mine who used to work for me at Holiday Magic Cosmetics became their vice president in charge of sales. I was sort of between things and bored out of my mind. And he called me, he said, "You want to come down here and sell this new thing we've got?" And I said, "What's the new thing?" He said, "Pong games." He said, they're really something." Well, looking back, it looked like something out of the Stone Age, but at the time, it was really impressive and fascinating. And their market was selling to investors who would buy them, uh, a quantity of them, and then we would locate them. They could do it themselves if they wanted, but that's a tough business. We would locate them. We would get them into the pizza parlor or the pool hall or the restaurant or the bar or whatever. And then they generally split the money 50-50 with the owner of the business.
Kind of like Coke machines and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You see them in
And I
hallways.
knew just enough about that business to be dangerous because one of
Uh-huh.
my godfathers, uncles, Howard Robinson, was the leading pinball slot machine. Yes, I said slot machine distributors, jukeboxes. And he introduced me to a guy named, you've all seen the Rockola jukeboxes. Well, there was a guy named Rocky Cola,
Oh,
Rockola. That was his name. I always thought it was a combination of, you know, jitterbugging and drinks, or rock and
yeah,
roll and
that's
drinks
what
and
I
so
would
on.
have taken. Yeah,
Yeah,
that it
it's a
had to
great
be
name,
a
but it
portmanteau, a two made up word out of two different words.
but my Uncle Howard said, "Ben, be careful in that business now." I said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, it's a rough business." He said, "Let me tell you, you're in California, I'm still in Atlanta, so we won't have this problem. But you put a Pong machine into one of my establishments and it causes me to lose money. When you come by to pick up your quarters, you're going to find an axe through the top of the glass."
Ow.
And I said, "An axe?" He said, "I'm telling you, you're in a rough business. Be careful." So I never had that particular problem. Maybe our locators went to places that nobody else wanted. But a guy who bought, I think it was 25 Pong machines from me, wholesale to put into restaurants, did. And then one day he called and he said, "I'm going to go make my first round uh, to pick up quarters and give the proprietor his 50% and so on." And he said, "You've got one of the places I've got a machine is right in your town in San Rafael at the time, California. You want to go with me?" I said, "I'd love to." And so we went down and he introduced himself to the owner and he got out his little pass key and opened up the cash drawer. And there was one quarter in there and it had a stripe of red nail polish across it, which was code for the proprietor had given it to some kid to play the machine to get him started playing the machine. And when pickup time came, he got his red quarters back and split what was left. One machine, 25 cents to split, but it had a red stripe on it. So our first quarter pickup was zero, followed by a few others I went with him on, and a couple were a dollar, four quarters and so on. And I realized I was selling something that was either before its time, people didn't understand it, whatever. But this guy that I had sold these machines to, inadvertently, I had screwed him. So I raised, first I was going to give him back my commission. I said, well, that doesn't make, I said to myself, that doesn't make him whole. So I went to Jerry, my friend, and I said, I'm going to give back my commission. I want you to give back the gross sales. You can leave the machines where they are or pick them up or what have you. And there was a little discussion that followed, but basically we made the gentleman whole. We gave him all of his money back because I had been whipped into a feeling of enthusiasm and excitement and didn't do my research, as the question you just got asked about. So, yes, it has happened a time or two. Yes, I gave the money back because that's not supposed to happen. Ben Gaze and the gentleman who bought the Pong machines did business with me in two or three other areas in the coming years because, among other things, he knew he could trust me. He died,
Mm-hmm.
he flipped over my business card. I don't think we had cell phones then, but he flipped over my business card, dialed the number, called me, and it got solved.
And that's the way it should be. So, I mean, you answered two questions at once. And I have to tell you before we get away from it, because I just flip pages, but you just made me earlier in the call, you made me break a cardinal rule about books. I've had The Closers Part Two on my bookshelf for years now. I've got sticky notes all over it. I've got index cards all over it. And this is the first time I've ever written on the darn thing. And I'm mad. But on 250 because it's against the rule. It's against the law as far as I'm concerned to scribble on book pages. But on page 253 sideways, I'll take a picture. It says Bill Dempsey.
It's crucial. And that rule, you and I discussed this a couple of years ago. The rule of don't mark up books is when it's somebody else's book.
I
Once I
know.
own it, I tend to be pretty neat with books too, but once I own it, if something leaps out at me, the highlighter pen comes out, the ballpoint pen comes out, the sticky notes, of course, come out. Mine, all of my valuable books, like they look like yellow porcupines with things sticking out of them. But once I own the book, it's mine to do with. I think I told you somebody offered me one time $10,000 for my original copy of what we now call The Closers Part One because of all the highlighting and underlining and notes in the margin and so on. And I said, no, I'd have to read it all again and study it again and mark it up and so on. But the truth was, A, I didn't need the money, and B, I wanted to increase the value in their mind of a well worked over closer's book. Uh, and now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, if he came by today and offered $10,000, I might just take it.
How do you photocopy it?
Yeah.
I just, when I wrote this, when I wrote Bill Dempsey in the margins here, I'm pretty sure my mama, who has passed away several years ago now, pretty sure she's just slapped the crap out of the back of my head because I had an instant headache when I did it. But and I really did. I just thought, oh wow, that hurt. I was trained by librarians and my mom. You don't mark books. You don't turn the covers down. You don't break that spine. You take good care of it. But Bill Dempsey is now on the page. So there it is. I'm not
That's
doing
what
it
li
again though.
that's what English teachers and librarians used to teach. And they were also trying to protect their inventory.
Right.
They could use the book again next year and next year and next year if the previous class didn't screw theirs up. So I understand the concept, but I
Yeah.
repeat, once it's mine, I can do with it whatever I want to do. And a good book that teaches you things, I really think ought to be marked up. All the sticky notes almost get that by. If you don't mind having that many sticky notes sticking out of something, that'll almost serve the purpose. But I mark them up. Once they got the Ben Gay business card in the front of them, they're mine.
I got a book I get a lot of books. You and I've talked about this. We both
Mhm.
receive books all the time. They're gifted. And I got this wonderful book from a gal who is going to be on I think it's August. She'll be showing up on the podcast, Your Partner in Success Radio. And she sent me a book and she wrote this beautiful to Denise in it. And then I get a note from her. She said, Denise, I think I sent you my copy of the book. And I hadn't opened it yet. All I saw was she wrote it because my rule is that I'll read the book. I'll glance through it when it gets here, but I'm not going to read the book until the week of. That way it's fresh and I can write a
Yeah.
report. And I just kind of thumbed through it. And it's like, okay, this is nice. This looks interesting. Spent a little bit of time with it and oh boy, it got shipped back. Or it's getting shipped back. It's sitting on my desk right now. So I told her, I said, let me ship this back. And she sent me another book. She said, no, just take pictures of it. I said, no, I'm sending it back. So bless her. I mean, she was like, no, it's okay. It's okay. No, it's not. I mean, she spent a lot of time marking her own book up. So she needs to have it back.
The I almost can't imagine the horror of discovering if it was a well-worked book that I had mailed it to somebody. You know?
I think she was relieved that I'll send it back, but she was like, no, pictures are fine. No, no, it's going back.
But price your items well or go where they are priced well. Decide in advance your wiggle room, if any. Base that on quantity. And here's another thing: your discount should be based on quantity or some rigid thing, and you offer those same discounts to everybody. I don't ever want to walk into a meeting room or a meeting or something and see two people discussing what they paid for one of my products. The and and have one of them discover he paid $100 more or less, or $1,000 more or less, and so on. Again, quantity discounts only. They can talk about anything they want. They're not going to run across uh, that one got a great deal and the other one got worked over. So pre-haggle it and be prepared to stand your guns, complete with the explanation of with this product you get me, and have that mean something. Like remember the Pong guy. Uh, have it mean something because on the rare occasion where something goes wrong, you back it up. I haven't done it in years, but if someone had asked me back in those days, uh, well, how do I know you'll stand behind it? Why don't you call so and so who bought 25, I think it was, uh, $2,000 or $3,000 games from me, and they didn't pan out even close to what I thought, and I gave him all of his money back. Why don't you call him? So it gives you, and it also gives you just confidence. So therefore, it rarely happens. And if it does happen, they probably won't call. I've had rumors spread around about me from various things. And the person that was told to would call and say, I heard this, but I didn't even check into it, Ben, because I know better. In the early days of my sales career and when I was a kid, it would have been a good idea to call and find out because I made up things on the fly. Whatever I thought would get me through this sales situation or this difficult situation. But I'm not smart enough to remember all those things. I carry a memo pad in my back pockets when I'm away from any other form of writing material. And it used to be so I could remember what I told you as to what so and so was making in this business or how they've been successful or what have you. I had to keep the story straight. Now I carry a memo pad for fresh ideas because
Right.
I know what I told you, because it's what I tell everybody. And the people who deal with me on a regular basis, who've dealt with me over the years, know not to question pricing. It's non-negotiable except for volume. Uh, and the occasional special. I have no objection to that. If you act today and I don't have to chase you around for another 2 weeks, it's this. But the real price is this. And if you don't buy it today, it's this. It's that higher price. So, but I'm just trying to get out of making a second call when you're selling vacuum cleaners and so on in home sales, encyclopedias in the old days. It costs so much money to run a lead, to go into some drive out to someone's home, sit down, spend 2 or 3 hours or whatever it is to make a sale. So the if you buy it tonight thing sounds a little hokey, but explain it properly. Say it costs me $90 to run a lead. So if you buy it tonight, I'll take the $90 off and I don't have to come back and visit with you again. If not, this is the price. Would you like it tonight or do you want to wait and think about it?
I'll call your brother-in-law in Hoboken or whatever it
Call your brother-in-law in
is.
Cleveland.
Yeah, yeah, Cleveland. Um, I, I mentioned earlier that the pre-haggle thing is stuck in my head, and I don't use it in my sales process because I mean, I'm like you. I know what it's going to cost you if it's a website and you need all of these things in. Here's the price. Now, there is the occasion where I would say, okay, you were referred to me by Ben Gay the third, or this, you'll get the Ben discount. Yeah, and I'll do that. But it's always a set amount, and I don't have to go back and say, what did I do? I will also tell my new client, if you ever said I did this, I'll call you a liar on the village square. It never happened. And they're like, okay, it never happened. But the pre-haggle thing, you'll not believe where I use it the most is on Facebook Market. I've been
Mm-hmm.
cleaning my garage. I've been cleaning out the attics. I've just been cleaning out stuff. It just, I swear it has, indelicate activity going on and it creates new babies. They're just, stuff is just everywhere. And somebody will say, well, I'll give you see, that. You want to piss me off? Say, I'll give you. No, you won't, but you have a nice day now. But, and
And
I
bless
will,
your heart.
and bless you. And, I will tell people, and I've actually had to have this conversation, through text or online. This was pre-haggled. This is the price that I came up with. It's fair. You can go look it up over on Amazon. You can go do whatever you want, but it's pre-haggled. There's no more discussing it. And they'll say, oh, okay. And they almost always buy it because they
Yeah,
know they're not going to wear me down.
you can even color it in more with things like I'd like to charge more. Uh, and I wish I could charge less, but I can't because of expenses and so on. But here's what I did. I priced it and then I figured you'd say, but I want this. And then I'd say, I want this and blah, blah. And so we got down to this figure that is fair, highly marketable, and I call it pre-haggled. So
Right.
I've saved us all that trouble of going back and forth and back and forth. That's the price. You buy it at that price, or you don't buy it. No hard feelings.
Pretty much the way I operate. It's no, I've already pre-haggled this. You weren't part of it, but I was. And, take it or leave it. And if you don't want it, that's fine. Just don't keep coming back to me. I had one guy that just kept coming back, and it was a computer monitor. It's a very good computer monitor. And he wanted it, then he didn't want it. And then he was like, okay, I need to try it out. Excuse me? It's packaged up. It's in the original box. Well,
You
I,
want to
I can't.
take it from my place to your place?
Or you think I'm going to let you in my house? You're nuts. So we had a nice little conversation, which basically I very politely told him to pound sand and then I blocked him. But oh my goodness, we are out of time. So what are we going to talk about next week?
Well, if we keep going in the book, next up is sales infiltration. That doesn't
Really?
mean that will be the last time we go to the book, but if you want to cover that,
No.
it's the best thing I've ever written about selling. and human
Ah,
relations. It
all right.
starts on page 257. And if you bought all my books and I only sent you that chapter, you'd be ahead of the game.
Okay. I didn't think we were going to get there for a while, but I'm in.
Well,
Yeah.
double back and do other things and come back to it again a year from now.
Yeah, exactly. Because there, every time we talk about anything, any chapter, there's always something new. Okay, Ben, so tell people where they can find you, your mentoring program, and of course, the sales Bibles, the closers.
Well, if you just want to communicate with me, here's my email. BFG3 stands for Benjamin Franklin Gay the third. BFG, the numeral 3 at DirectCon, short for Direct Connect, DirectCon.net. If you want to know about my mentoring program, I don't have any openings right now, but tell me that you want to know about the mentoring program. I'll bring you up to speed and put you on the list. If you want to give a question for this broadcast, put it there or send it to Denise, either one. But let us hear from you. And then if you want to buy, this is a bad word in selling. If you want to buy, invest in your copies of any of the closer series, we have special pricing, free shipping. I still sign them and date them. And you go to this site, go to stores, stores.ebay.com / all one word Ronzoni Books, RONZONEBOOKS. If your order's in by 2 o'clock Pacific time, it'll go out that day. If not, the next business day. All with a lifetime, unconditional, no questions asked, money back guarantee.
Got it. Well, listen, we do ask you, if you're listening to us today, last week, in the future, we do ask you to send us your questions about sales, about success, about anything that we're talking about. And we will answer them online as best as we can. We'll do them right there live on the show. And I am easy to find online, so and you're welcome to contact me directly. You can call me toll free at 888-719-6711. Be sure to leave a message and I'll return your call just as quickly as possible, typically on that day. But if you leave a message at midnight, it'll be the next day. It happens. So thank you everyone for joining us, and be sure to find us on your Partner in Success Radio. Just look for our names and or the Closers Inner Circle podcast. Truly, you can't throw a stick on the internet without hitting either me or Ben or this podcast. Ben, thank you. I will see you next week.
Bless you. I really enjoyed it. And Gigi and I send our love and best wishes.
Thank you. And give her a happy birthday hug for me.
I shall do it.
All right. Bye.